The Working Artist Project is brought to you by Second Line Arts Collective. Learn how you can support at secondlinearts.org.
We're creating a platform for those who are curious, one that tells the story from the artist's perspective. Moments in time, captured from the innovators who are reshaping dance, music, theater, and the visual arts. This is the Working Artist Project.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Today is March 7th, 2022, and we are here for another episode of the Working Artist Project. Darrian Douglas, how are you this evening?
Gregory, Agid, as you can see, I am chilling in my backyard. You know what I'm saying? It's real cozy out here, man.
Now, is that your real backyard, or is that the virtual background backyard?
Hey, man, listen. I live in the metaverse. I don't know where you live. So real is just, it is what you make it. How about that?
I'm not going to argue that here and now today, but let me just say I'm also glad to be where I am. I'm also kind of glad it's not the metaverse. But yeah, man, tonight we have a wonderful guest. But before we get to it, let's just do our pitch for the camp. And Darrian, what's happening this summer?
Well, y'all, this summer we got a 2-week intensive called the Sanaa Music Workshop, and we're going to be out here with kids from June 6th to June 17th, teaching them the ins and outs of the music business and how to master their crafts as musicians. It's going to be quite fun. We're going to have Marquise Hill out there and a bunch of other folks, right?
Yes, indeed. We have Marquise Hill, and we have a couple other fantastic guest artists in the works happening. And so it's going to be a fantastic educational opportunity. It's going to be some real pre-professional training. And again, you're going to be able to hang with all the cats. All I know is I'm excited to hang with the teachers and the lecturers this year. So I know it's going to be well worth the students' time.
Yeah, man. It's this is year 6, man. So we've been hustling out here. And people don't really know this, man, but we've been out here hustling for 6 whole years, man. And it's, we're proud this year because it's the first year that we've been fully funded for months. And usually in the past, we were like scrambling till the day before to make sure we had enough money to make this thing happen. So came a long way from that first $3,000 that we scrounged up.
I think 3,000 is an exaggeration. I think we got like 1,000, like maybe $1,100. But yeah, it's progress. We're moving in the right direction. And again, we've been very fortunate it's been a complete learning process to dive into how to run a nonprofit, how to fundraise, how to get a board together, how to get sponsors. And man, I've learned a tremendous amount. And maybe one day we could turn that into a class in and of itself.
Hey,
How about that?
how about it? All right, let's get right into it, man. So we got the one and only Josh Gouzy tonight, right, Greg?
Yes, sir. So Josh is he's a homie from way back in the day. He's from New Orleans, Louisiana. He's one of those rare New Orleanians, and he recently graduated from a wonderful audio production program, I believe, out in San Francisco called Pyramind. And he is also the leader and entrepreneur. He founded Magnolia Productions, I guess, about 5 or 6 years ago. And he's also a fantastic bass player, one of the top call cats in New Orleans, and a band leader where he leads a band called the Catahoulas that plays New Orleans R&B. So, man, if y'all would please welcome the wonderful Josh Gouzy.
Hey, yo, how's it going?
Gosh,
Jeez, me with an introduction, man. I love it. Thanks, man. How's everybody doing?
oh man, I'm good, bro. I'm good.
It's so good to see y'all's faces, man. It's been way too long. I feel like I saw you in the street, Greg, a few weeks ago, or maybe a month ago, randomly. I don't know. A Frenchman
I
or
think that
something.
was 6 months ago.
Was it? Yeah, you're probably right, man. This whole thing has been such a time warp. It really has.
I know.
Wow.
It's crazy.
Okay. Yeah, maybe 6 months ago. It feels like a week ago.
That's why I'm trying to get y'all to come to the metaverse, man. But y'all ain't cool, man. Come be virtual with me, man. You can make the world whatever you want it out here where I'm at, man. You know what I'm
Yeah, it
saying?
looks pretty cozy over there. You got the fireflies and everything, man. Nice cool breeze, I'm sure.
That's right.
You know, what happens when the power goes out? That's all I'm trying to figure out.
Oh man, see, listen, man. Now you're asking questions, some questions that are deeper than the knowledge that we have, man. Don't worry about it, man. How about?
So, well, man, Josh, man, you know, actually, I want to dig right into this, and you know, something that I've been watching you via the Instagram and the Facebook, and I've been kind of keeping up with your journey through this
Oh, cool.
audio production program, and I think this would be a kind of a cool place to start. But man, would you mind telling us about this program that you went through, and maybe how? Yeah, just what did you do?
Yeah. So, okay. So, what Pyramind is? It's an audio production institute. It's in San Francisco, and well, you remember Jason Butler? Played with Pat Casey's band on Frenchman Street. This was maybe 6 years ago or something like that. He was my connection to Pyramind because I remember he plays keyboard, phenomenal. From New Orleans, he does the whole thing, travel around, and he decided he wanted to be a film composer and a game audio composer, and so he went to Pyramind, and he's been living there since. And they loved him so much that they invited him to stay and be a teacher. So he teaches there. And when COVID hit, I mean, I definitely would not consider myself I'm not a gamer. I love playing games for sure, but I'm not, I don't know. Maybe, I don't know. I enjoy playing games. When the game is good, sure. But anyway, when COVID hit, all of us, all the musicians, the whole world shut down and everything. And, everybody was going through things in their own way. And I was one of pretty much everybody going through depression and everything. And one night I was playing on this couch with my son. We were playing Paper Mario, and he was walking around, and I was listening to the music, and this walking around Mushroom Kingdom and all this stuff, and you heard that music, the music that you would expect to hear from a Mario game, right? And as he walked to different sections, he walked to like this little cafe area where you can buy power-ups and stuff. And I listened as the instrumentation changed from this big triumphant, fanfare type thing. The instrumentation changed to a small like cafe setting with like an upright bass, and man, I was like, man, that's really cool. I wonder how that happened. Like, how did they do that? And then he walked over to the docks, and it changed to this like kind of 3/4 kind of swashbuckling version of the same melody, but it happened. I had him walk to the dock and away and to it and from it, and the music dynamically would change, as it does in game audio. And it just hit me like a freight train. It's like, man, like I can pursue this now. I have some time because, my whole life, I've never done anything other than play gigs to make a living at any point. I mean, especially in New Orleans, you can do that. I would play, I like to say at least 7 nights a week I would play.
Man,
And,
just to everyone listening, Josh is like the most in-demand bass player. And I think 7 nights a week is an understatement. If Josh is pulling doubles almost every day.
I worked hard for sure, and I'm very grateful for that time. I learned a lot and made my best friends. I got to it's great. You get to make music with your best buds like every night. I mean, it's great. But I had always been sort of interested in game audio. I just love the idea of interactive music. Just the idea that depending on all these parameters, like the health status of your character, or if there's enemies nearby and if they see you, or how many, or whatever parameters you set, you can compose music harmonically, melodically, rhythmically that can change based on what's happening in real time. And it's all what you set. It makes it feel more like a puzzle. You have to use both sides of the brain because you have the creative side, where you come up with all these segments, and then, the logical side where you're like, okay, how do I make this actually fit and morph and not sound super janky, So anyway, like I was saying, we were playing there, it hit me like a freight train. I was like, all right, I want to see, let me call up Jason. Jason did this thing at Pyramind. So I called him. I was like, hey man, where you at? What you doing? And he told me all about it, and one thing led to another, and I went, and I was there for about 9 months, and I learned all about audio production, Ableton, Logic, Pro Tools. I became a certified Pro Tools expert. Learned all about how sample libraries work, Foley, sound effects, creature sound design, all the, really fun stuff for sure. Dialogue work. So I have the tools and the skills to be able to pursue this new career path, and I really do feel that all these years of playing jazz, to be honest, has really helped set me up for this, to be able to, especially for interactive music, because I mean, what is jazz if not interactive? It's just, instead of in real time, it's pre-planned to feel in real time. It's all pre-planned improvisation, which is a totally different approach, to what I know you guys know as jazz, which is, you constantly listen to what's going on. But instead of listening with game audio, instead of listening to other musicians, you're listening to game parameters that are constantly fluctuating, and you write music that will change so that it feels smooth. So that makes sense. I mean,
great explanation.
it's really fun, man. It's so much fun. Let me tell you, man. And when I first went over there, I had this kind of hard-headed mindset of like, I'm only going to do music. I'm a musician. No sound effects for me, no Foley, blah, blah, blah. And then one of the teachers, Steve Hightaker, who was one of the audio engineers on the original Halo and on BioShock and Watch Dogs 2, like all these AAA games, like he's the man. He kind of introduced me to what sound design can really be, and I just totally fell in love with it. And it comes really easy. You look at something on the screen and you conceptualize what you think that creature or whatever or weapon or whatever would sound like, and which is something that I would do beforehand, but now I have the tools and the knowledge to be able to make those sounds.
Back from when you were a kid and you're like going toot 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 toot.
Yeah, exactly, yeah, and I can do that now. And speaking of that, Hudson, my son, he just turned 6 last week, which blows my mind. I can't believe he's already. I know. I can't believe that he already turns. My daughter's a year and 3 or 4 months. 4 months, like already. Anyway, he's my voice actor, so I'll have a project where I'm working on one right now for a game where I need this giant robot mammoth that attacks the main character. And I called him. I was like, "Hey, buddy, come here." And he got on this mic, and I was like, "Man, what do you think that this guy would sound like?" And he get in the mic and say, "Okay, go." And he's doing all these things, and he's like he's acting it out. And so I have these plugins. One's called a dehumanizer, for instance, where I can process his voice, and it sounds like what you would think a robot mammoth would sound like. So he's definitely, and he loves it, man. He's having so much fun doing it.
Hey,
so
man,
it's kind of like
those royalties, man.
Yeah, I know. I told my sister about it. She's like, "You paying him yet?" I'm still paying him.
Man, like coming out of it, like the live performing career for so long, like you were saying, you're working 7 nights a week. Do you think that musicians who can go beyond playing like yourself are kind of hindered by the playing? Because there's like sometimes there's no space to explore those other things because you're working so much, like you were saying, you're working 7 nights a week.
Yeah. I mean, I do think that there's a good and a bad side to working every night, to working as much. I mean, in New Orleans, y'all know, in New Orleans, kind of the standard gig is about 4 hours. Where other places like in San Francisco, I played some gigs with some people, some friends of mine, and their standard gig time is 2 hours, which is kind of nice. But, I mean, if you get a double, that's 8 hours of playing live music a day, So yeah, no, I mean, absolutely. When I would finish my gig and I would come home, I wouldn't have anything on the radio. I would be driving home in silence because my ears were tired, my soul was weird. I mean, not in a negative sense. It's just, energy is neither created or destroyed. It's only transferred. And so I would be transferring all my energy. I'd be just giving out everything that I can, all for however many hours or however many gigs. And by the time I'm driving home, I got nothing left to give. And and a lot of times that would bleed over into the next day when I wake up and I'm exhausted, and I'm body's hurting because it's an upright bass, and that's what upright basses do to people, and make you hurt. And yeah, I mean, like this kind of stuff, audio post-production, is stuff that I had always really, I mean, it's honestly, I've been interested in it for like TV shows, movies, games. I've always been curious, but I'd never had the energy or the time to pursue that. There's no way. I could not, especially now that I have a family. It's just that is not, I would have had to give up gigs to be able to do it. And, during COVID, it gave, because all the gigs were gone, I had some time to actually try and pursue this new thing, which
blessing
came.
in disguise situations.
I'm sorry.
I just said it. Sorry, it was a blessing in disguise type situation.
Well, in a sense. I mean, yeah, in a sense, there was good that came from it, but from me having time. I'm not saying, you know what I'm saying. From me, like, having time to sit and rethink. Okay, like, this is where I'm at. Like, to sit and back out, and instead of being in the grind, which was a good grind, but it's a grind. But to be able to back out and look at things and say, okay, this is where I'm headed. This is where I want to go. Okay, what steps can I actually take right now? I can change things right now. How do I do that? And I did it. And it being able to change, or not. I'm still playing gigs. I'm definitely still playing gigs. I'm not. I don't mean to sound like I'm not playing anymore. I'm still very much playing, but instead of like 7 nights a week, I'm doing like 7 a month. And my son, he's just started kindergarten, so he gets off at about 5 o'clock every day, and I want to see my kids. So this it was like right when he started kindergarten, so it kind of worked out to where I'm working more towards during the daytime, and then he comes home and I see him, and because I can't not see my family. I got to see my kids. I got to. So yeah, that's kind of how that went.
When you said time, I mean, that was definitely one of the things that I first noticed entering the pandemic. Was like, dude, I had never had so much free time in my life.
Yeah,
it was. I mean, I loved it. Like, I absolutely loved it, and I'm still in no rush to get back to it, even though I'm pretty sure we've been back to somewhat normal for the last 5 or 6 months. But man, I was wondering, as a New Orleans musician, leaving New Orleans and going to a scene like San Francisco and entering like a school that is, I mean, I would assume that a lot of your fellow students are from all over the place.
Yeah.
And man, were there any like differences in, I don't know, just any things that stood out to you in terms of like, yo, we're not in New Orleans anymore?
Yeah, pretty much everything. The weather. It was the best weather of my life, man. It was like every day it was like about 60 degrees. There were like barely any clouds out. I was in this part of San Francisco at the top of the hill, and I would ride my bike down the hill every day to school. It was, oh my God, the weather. I miss that weather every day. It's a different place. I mean, San Francisco is beautiful. It's incredible. I mean, the nature around it is beautiful. The fact that there's hills, I mean, at all, like that, the only hill in New Orleans is Monkey Hill. I mean, I think
is that even really a hill? I mean, that's debatable.
It's a man-made hill, so no. I did. It took some getting, but I also think that this might have been also because of COVID. People were very cautious, but I did miss walking down the sidewalk, seeing someone coming your way, making eye contact, saying, "Hey, how you doing?" or whatever. I miss that. Just recognize my existence. I didn't really have that at all in San Francisco. But again, I'm not saying that, I'm not dogging on the people. I don't know if that's how it usually is. I know COVID, everybody was, people would kind of actively like get into the street to walk around you.
I mean,
And I think it was more of that.
To say that about San Francisco, just for the record. I've heard that. I've heard that before.
Oh, okay, all right, okay.
I've definitely been out in other places, like, "Oh, hey, how y'all doing? What's up?" And
Right, and they,
they
look.
from. But man, what's like, traveling to a place like San Francisco and doing like this audio production work, coming back to New Orleans, like, is that like a thing? Like, how are you, like, what do you plan to do with now all of your expertise? Are you looking to like work in New Orleans and like maybe like work on people's CDs and mix master, or are you still trying to like actively pursue sound design, video game music, and maybe further expand on your connections that you made out in San Francisco?
So I'm casting a wide net in a sense that, I'm mixing someone's album right now. Because I enjoy working with sound. I enjoy music, and I'm having fun working on this record. That's not my end goal. My end goal is to work in sound design. I feel that I love writing music. It's so much fun writing the picture. That's something I've never done before this, and I would absolutely do it if I had an opportunity. But I will say that sound design is just, I don't know, I just kind of have a knack. I feel like I have a knack for it. It's just, I just have this, I can really quickly identify what something needs, and I can use synthesis or morphing samples or whatever, blending sample libraries or whatever to get the sound that's in my mind out. I can work fast, and I enjoy it for sure, because again, it comes really quickly. But no, I am absolutely open to trying another town, living in another place. I know that a lot of the game developers are over in San Francisco or Austin and LA, and other places as well. But Austin is becoming bigger with game developer studios, and my wife and I were both cool with trying something new if the opportunity presented itself. But I feel like, in the long run, New Orleans is our home. It's where our families are. This is, New Orleanians are our people. It's home. So I feel like in the long run, we'll end up back over here.
New Orleans is totally home. Man,
yeah.
As you're saying all this, I know, Darrian, we spoke about this earlier, but man, maybe I would love to maybe hear some of Josh's work and maybe just play a couple seconds of what he's been working on. And I think we have a clip queued up called Sky High Kingdom.
Yeah. So that's something that I wrote. So during my time at Pyramind, I was saying my family stayed here in Louisiana. And so once a month I would see them for a weekend to make sure, because I don't want my kids to forget about it. That was a big sacrifice. But one time that we met up in St. Louis, and we went to the St. Louis City Museum. And I'm not sure if y'all have been to the St. Louis City Museum, but it's the epitome of discovery and excitement for a child. I have never seen a place like the City Museum. It's unbelievable. Like, kids and adults, like you walk in to this open area, and there's like random tubes and pipes that go wherever on this multi-level building, and like you just like, oh, I'll go and crawl up into that hole and see what happens, and you go in, and then you come out and you're in this giant treehouse all of a sudden, and you're looking over a bunch of people on another level. It's beautiful. But we went, and I was trying to keep up with my son because he was losing his mind. He was having so much fun. And I was crawling through these tubes, and they're like, wait. And the whole time I had this melody in my head. And so this is the Sky High Kingdom is what I it's the sound of what I imagined was going on, playing in his mind as he was running around this new place.
Dig it. Sky High Kingdom. Josh, we can't give them too much of that. We don't want them to put that on their video.
Oh yeah, right. Well, and that song's made to be loopable, so it's because it's 4 games. I had a game in mind, so it loops around like a minute 10 seconds, which is kind of like a sweet spot.
That bass drum and that bass drum out of nowhere with the crash cymbal got me, man.
Oh yeah, good.
That was when your kid fell out the treehouse, huh?
And that little
Yeah, I like that.
That was Hudson going, trying to figure out where somebody going.
Yeah, man,
Have
it's interesting because I've known you since for a long time at this point.
Yeah,
I
I think your first gig in town was with me, right? With
Probably.
Fred Sanders. You, me, and Fred Sanders.
Yeah, that was a long time ago.
A long time ago. Yeah. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No. I forgot about it. I'm glad you reminded me of that. Now I forgot my question, but what was I gonna say? I forgot, Greg.
You said we've known each other for a while.
Yeah, I know, but then I was gonna leave somewhere.
I'm sorry.
I think he was going to invite you over or something.
I'll come over to that backyard, man. That's a cool backyard.
Yeah, we've known each other for a minute now, but after hearing that song, I was wondering if you wanted to come hang or something.
That's right. Oh,
Go ahead. After listening, I'm gonna go ahead and leave this Zoom. I'm gonna just edit it.
No, I was just saying that I know you as a performing bass player. You know what I'm saying? And as a person who's had, like you said, 7 nights a week. And that might be kind of hard for people to believe, but in New Orleans, bass players especially, I think rhythm section players really work.
Yeah.
And to kind of switch gears to say, okay, cool, I'm going to go into the sound design space. To have the confidence to do that in yourself, to learn something new, and then, try to support yourself and your family on it, takes a tremendous amount of courage. Can you kind of just talk about how you did that and how you say, you know what, fuck it, man, I'm going to just try this thing and stare failure in the face?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, during COVID, it was hard. I didn't know what was going to happen. I was telling y'all before, we were in the process of selling the house. We were going to build, and all that didn't happen. And just a lot of what are we going to do? And we thought everybody thought COVID was just going to be like a quick little thing. And, little did we know. And it got to a point where, me and my wife were like, okay, we gotta figure something out here. We gotta shift, because this ain't working. And, bills started coming, and, y'all know, it's everybody, it happened to everybody.
Absolutely.
I'm not the only one by a long shot, but, I will say that no one is more supportive of me doing this, even more supportive than myself. No one is more supportive than my wife, for sure. She pushed me to go to Pyramind and do this new thing because she knew how much I, she could feel how much I wanted it. And, and she knew that I wanted it for a while. We kind of felt like a change was coming over these past few years before COVID. We felt like there was a change. We had been kind of talking like, okay, like I can't, I'm 35 now. I physically, I'm not going to be able to play 8 hours a day on an upright bass without hurting myself. I developed an issue in my right elbow from overuse with my nerves, and I had to go to physical therapy, and then I hurt my shoulder just from a lot of overuse injuries. And, that's one reason alone to why we were in things where we were talking about ways to potentially try and do something different. But it always just kind of fell apart. It's like, well, what am I going to do? Like, I got a gig. I don't have time to do anything new. Like, there's just no way. I don't mean this in the sense that I wasn't enjoying myself. I loved playing and I love playing music, and I love all that stuff. But like, I don't know how. There just wasn't time. It's like we were saying before. There just wasn't time to do it, to do anything else, because the energy.
Sounds like your mindset kind of shifted too.
It really did. Yeah. Instead of playing gigs, I just figured, okay, you know what? I'm going all in on this thing. And, I will say that there was one thing that really was like, okay, I was talking to my wife about it. There was this opportunity for a grant that was a COVID grant. That was it was a small business grant that would have covered a lot of Pyramind, to be honest, and the tuition. And I saw it, and I told my wife, "It's like, okay, I'm gonna try. I'm gonna apply for this grant, and if it happens, I'll take that as a sign, as okay, I'm gonna do it. And if not, then we'll figure something else out." And I ended up getting the grant, and that day I emailed Pyramind. I was like, "Hey, I'm coming. Let's do this." And that was definitely, and I went all in, man. Like the whole time I was at Pyramind, I would wake up at 8 o'clock every day, which was totally new alone, because I'm used to waking up, at 11 or noon, because we go to bed at 4 or 5 or whatever it is, But yeah, I wake up at every day at 8. I'd ride my bike to school. I would rent out the studio, because they have multiple studios that you can rent out, studio spaces. I would not rent it, but I would reserve it as a student for the rest of the day, every day. So I would go to class, and then after class, I would live in the studio until about 10 o'clock at night. I'd ride my bike back to the place I was staying, work a little bit more, go to sleep. And I did that every day for the whole 9 months that I was there. I don't know, man. Something, like you said, something shifted, and I got really aggressive with going after this, and it's definitely paid off. It's paying off, and I can feel it, man. There's just such a really, I was telling y'all before, there's such a really great sense of peace and grounding in my spirit about this. I just know that this is what we had been talking about all those years before. This is it. And it's a good feeling for sure.
As you're saying all this, I'm just like, man, there's a part of me too that as young musicians come up, like all we want to do is play. Like we just love playing so much.
Yeah.
And the goal is always to play gigs. We always see the cats on the big stage at whatever Jazz Fest or anywhere, throughout the world, and we're just like, I just want to be that guy. Mm-hmm. And man, I started feeling the same way as you too, like about 5-6 years ago, realizing I was like, I think one night I was looking into the Spotted Cat, and there were a couple cats in there who were just like, they were in their upper 60s and maybe 70s or so, and they were out there like 4 nights a week or something.
Yeah.
And I was just like, dude, holy shit, like that comes at you fast, all of a sudden you're at that point in your life, and you still have to do like 5, 6, 7 gigs a week, and
Mm-hmm.
that scared the shit out of me.
Mm-hmm.
And it's weird too, because I feel like as musicians, we always have to clarify that, like, I love music, but like,
Yeah, for sure.
holy shit, but like we always have to justify our love for music too in the transition of like setting ourselves up too for greater success than playing the gig, you know?
Man, you know what it is? People don't really think about music like they do sports. Like if you saw motherfuckers LeBron out there at 70 or Jordan, you'd be like, what the fuck is he doing? Like, what is he doing? Go home. But music is also a young man's game. Just because, like what you said, Josh, like, man, it's taxing, it's time consuming. And if you plan on having a family and keeping it, you got to be at home at some
Yeah.
point. You
Yeah.
know?
You gotta be able to budget that time. It's all
Or
about budgeting your time.
or you got to have that 1 gig a month that pays you $20,000, you know?
Or that works.
Or that. Yeah.
That
Yeah, I
works.
mean, and also, I mean, New Orleans can feel like it's a small city, and you can, if you're a good player and you know the tunes and you're a good person, good human, and you pay your dues and whatnot, you'll be working towards the top of the game, and but I was never much for traveling because I have family and everything, so I never did too much of the touring thing. I was more of the hometown guy. I played my gigs at home and I'm good with that. But it got to where I was playing at the places that I had always dreamed of playing. I was doing stuff at the Hall, Preservation Hall. I was doing stuff at the Palm Court. With my heroes, and I was doing that. I'm like, okay, I'm doing this. I was 32, 33 at the time. I'm like, okay, now what? Like, do I ride this out for the next, however
Is
many
that it?
years?
Yeah, it's like
Right, because I mean,
years doing this.
the next step up would be to start traveling, and that's just not something that I really want to do. I enjoy traveling, but like being a road dog is just not. That's not for me. That's not my thing.
That's
And
like one of the unique things of being from New Orleans too. I don't really think there's any other city in the world that you can like support yourself financially and play great music every night at a different spot. I think like
Yeah.
if you're from anywhere else, you're kind of like, it's implied that you're gonna travel to make money.
Yeah, we're spoiled. We're spoiled over here for sure. But yeah, I mean, again, I was just thinking like, all right, but I mean, I don't want to just like ride this. I want to evolve. I need to keep. My dad told me when I was a kid, he said, stagnant water breeds mosquitoes. And I live my life thinking that. I think of that every day. Stagnant water breeds mosquitoes. You got to keep moving. You got to keep doing stuff. You got to keep evolving and growing. And then, or else you're just going to grow stagnant. And then what's the point, So, this is definitely this is a big old fresh pot of water for sure.
Yeah, I love that too, because that's definitely a great saying, but that's also like so Louisiana.
Yeah, right.
I was just thinking, I was like, I love country. I'm from Mississippi, so I love them country sayings, man. I don't think people in big cities have sayings. I don't think they have them, man.
I don't know. I wouldn't know. Nobody talked to me in San Francisco, so I wouldn't know.
Yeah, when you were doing this program, just for my own curiosity,
Yeah.
were you more focusing on like learning the technical aspects of the softwares and the programs and how to use the studio, or were you spending a lot of time like digging into like composition techniques and things like that?
So Pyramind focuses more on the technical side of things. There is definitely, absolutely a theoretical composition component that Jason teaches, Jason Butler. He does a great job. We talk about, different approaches with modes, and he digs pretty deep, and it's beautiful. I learned a lot from Jason for sure. I'm very grateful for that. But the majority of the classes are, this is how Pro Tools works. They go as deep as you want to go. Again, like I said, I got my Pro Tools expert certification from them. And I mean, that was 9 months of solid work. Pro Tools is so deep. It is unbelievable how deep it is. I had no idea. And there's so many different ways that you can do what you need to do so that it works for your workflow. What works right for you. There's not one way to do one thing. There's whatever, 5. It depends, but you know what I'm saying. But and it was about how to sync up audio with games, with how to there's middleware software that is basically, it's a program that syncs up the timing from your audio to your game so that it happens in real time based on real time parameters. So what I was saying before, based on like health status or enemy count or whatever location, whatever, middleware is what controls that. So it was very technical of like, this is how you do this is how this happens, you can use these plugins, you can blah blah blah. It was that kind of approach for the most part, other than Jason's composition class.
I love that Jason is the teacher there. That's like kind of beautiful. That's like really beautiful,
right? Talk about a good dude, man. I love that guy.
But what's crazy about this whole thing, listening to, I mean, again, like it just seems like you went from like one end of the spectrum, from like playing traditional New Orleans music, in all the traditions of the, traditional jazz, the R&B, the funk and soul and things like that, and playing for people in clubs with the cats, like with the elders, to going to San Francisco and then learning about the most modern Pro Tools, video games, and it just feels like two opposite ends of the spectrum in terms of musical or experiences within the industry.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just, it blows my mind, man. So kudos to you.
Thank you
for taking your experiences and reinventing yourself at this point in your life. That's man, that's like what it's all about.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you,
man. So but I want, like, Darrian, do you have that other song queued up with the Catahulas? So, man, I think what would be killing is that, Josh is, a fantastic musician, but to show the diversity of like where this cat has been, dealing with. And, Josh founded a band called the Catahulas, and maybe we could listen to it. And then Josh, you could tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah.
I know Mardi Gras was 3 days ago, but I know you can still feel that. Come on, y'all, let's have a good time. 210 mama is a big fine thing. Nande, shake that thing. 210 mama, she's a big fine thing. Nande, shake that thing. 210 mama, she like that wine. Nande, shake that thing. 210 mama, show is fine. Nande, shake that thing. Finest girl you ever saw. She did something against the law. Stole my paw from my mom. I'm not gonna do what? Wait for me on a Mardi Gras day. Nande, shake that thing. 210 mama, she's a big fine thing. Nande, shake the top. 210 mama, she's a big fine thing. Nande, shake that thing. 210 mama, she's a big fine thing. Nande, shake that thing. 210 mama, she sure is fine.
See, they didn't hear that. They don't know nothing about that, Josh. See, they don't know nothing about that.
Man, I want $1 million for someone to recreate that groove feel in Logic.
Yeah.
Hey, Josh, man, you need to put that in the video game, man. You gotta find
put that
out,
in there,
bro. What? Second, take it out.
Oh yeah, for sure, man. No, I want to find ways to bring some New Orleans vibes into some game audio for sure. There's a lot of potential for sure.
You could have a video game, the Frenchman Street Avenger or something like that, and like just some cat running up
Yeah.
Frenchman Street. It's got to go to different clubs, and like, man, like the trombone player just walked out with the bucket, and you got to get
I remember Ben Pulser, his album, The Orleans Six. The album art was like this giant robot over Frenchman Street blowing up the Spy Cat. Because the gig was it was recorded at the Cat, so of course they got to blow it up. But yeah.
So tell us about the Catahoula's.
Yeah, sure. So my grandpa Lloyd Florane, he played saxophone, trumpet, trombone, electric bass back in the 50s and 60s in New Orleans. And my great grandpa played, so he learned from my great grandpa, and there's a thing going. But basically, my grandpa's still around. He doesn't play anymore, but he's still around for sure. And I had always loved that music. I grew up knowing that because he lived less than 2 blocks away from where I grew up in Chalmette. And so I would just kind of live over there, and he had all his basses, his collection of basses, and he played music, and we would just kind of jam, and that's how I learned to play, was on his couch. And I mean, great memories, man. So I started that band because I felt that there was this massive void in New Orleans of that music of 50s and 60s, like really well done R&B, classic old school stuff. I mean, they have some stuff for sure, and it's really good. It's just I like the idea of playing that repertoire, but bringing a little bit of like kind of that little bit more modern New Orleans funk vibes to it, where the classic, the real deal, was sort of pre-funk in a lot of ways. This we go a little more funky with it, so that lineup, Gerald French on drums and the lead vocals. I mean, you don't need nothing else.
You don't need nothing else.
Gerald, Gerald, and he and I, there was another iteration of the Catahoula's when I first started, and we played one show, and when we were at the rehearsal for the show, we played a few notes, we played a few minutes. I was like, nah, this ain't the lineup, this ain't right. And so it took me about another year after that show to rethink things, and then I got Gerald on drums, I got Kevin Lewis on trumpet, Earl Bonney on tenor sax, Oliver Bonney, his son, on Barry, Burt Cotton, who plays guitar with Bonorama, and Steve DeTroy, who plays keys with Walter Wolfman. And man, we didn't even play any notes. We just got together at Steve's house, and we were gonna rehearse, and we were just hanging. I was like, "Yeah, this is it." We didn't even play the notes. And it's
That's
like,
so
yeah,
killing.
here it is. This is the band. It just worked. And that recording, this whole recording, was our very first show after one rehearsal, and the vibe was just so good. It was very raw in this beautiful way that I love. I tend to almost always choose live recordings over studio recordings for the kind of music that I play, because I like, with jazz is meant for people. It's meant for dancers. So you got to capture it. You only capturing half the energy if you don't have a room full of people checking out. And I think that goes with a lot of New Orleans music. You need people, because New Orleans is, people come to see you play. They don't come to come and ponder life directly. I mean, they will as a passive, they'll be dancing. They're like, yeah, man.
10 drinks in, you can do nothing but ponder life.
There you go. Yeah. So, so this was recorded live at the New Orleans Mint, in like 2018 or 19 or something like that. But, we're definitely due to put another one out. That's in the works right now, actually. But, yeah, so, that's kind of what we're about. We just started gigging again. We got some gigs at the Spotted Cat. We got a monthly over there. We got a monthly at the Maple Leaf. Things are good, man. And the band is so excited to be back together. It's just good to hang again. And, it's good to be with friends, man. I miss those guys. I love them. I love them to death. And they are funky, man. They know how to make it work,
Yeah, something beautiful about New Orleans music. That last song, Tooth in Mind, I have a recording of Baby Dodds playing that.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's a good one.
You know what I'm saying? And it's like that music just goes back to the beginning, to the creation of
Yeah.
what we now call jazz.
Yeah.
And here we are in 2022, and y'all putting some more funk on it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like when Baby Dolls played, it was funky too.
Yeah.
But you know, that's what I love about New Orleans, and that it always holds the tradition in one hand, but looks forward with the other hand. And
Yes. Yeah.
that's that's the special sauce right there.
And I love that, I used to think before I really started to dig into, traditional jazz and, R&B and whatnot. I was, the school that Greg and I went to, Loyola, was always generally more focused on like 50s and forward, like bebop and forward, more or less, right, Greg? I mean, wouldn't you say that?
I would generally say every program in the world is
Yeah.
of that sort.
Yeah, and I'm not. I'm choosing my words carefully. I learned
Don't
Loyola, huh?
I said, just tell the truth. Don't choose.
All right. No, I mean, man, Loyola changed my life in so many ways. I will never forget my time at Loyola. When I walked in, I swear I did not know what a bass clef was. Everything was by ear up until I went to Loyola. I did not know theory. I didn't know chords. I didn't know what major. I just played by ear in church from like 11 until college, and I'm not exaggerating. That was the truth. But I think that a lot of schools confuse earlier music, early jazz, as being easy when it's accessible. It's not easy, it's accessible. You can learn, it's fun. You can dance to it generally. It's just easier to grasp. It's not as like conceptual as modern jazz, and like I said before, like life pondering kind of stuff, which is, I mean, that don't get me wrong, like modern jazz and all that stuff is beautiful. I mean, fucking, excuse me, what, Brian Blade, I mean, like, it'll make you cry, man. I mean, it's incredible. The music that my heart clings to is traditional music, because I just love playing accessible music, have fun with it, people dancing, filling up the room, people going nuts, just having a good time and enjoying life. That's what I like. That I enjoy that, and that's the music that I feel like I relate to. But yeah, what I was saying about colleges is, I mean, I really believe that, and it took a few years after me graduating college to kind of wrap my head around that. When I was in the New Orleans Jazz Vipers was when my mind started to change. In 2010. That's just like a straight swing band. Like, I don't do anything. There's no drums. Me and guitar, we're the rhythm section. Quarter note pulses for 4 hours, all night. Just quarter note. Just pound it out. Nothing. I mean, up here all night. And at first I was like, man, this is like easy. But then after a certain point, it felt like, I don't know, something changed to me. I was like, okay, I get it now. You look around the room, you're like, okay, like I totally get this now. It makes sense. And so, yeah, it's not easy. It's accessible.
I love that very much, and I'm gonna steal that from you just for the record. I'm gonna.
Hey, man, the
all
truth
my
must
friends.
be told, man. It's true. You
Dude,
can't be
that's-
talking trash on traditional jazz when you don't know how to swing a blues.
There you go.
Just
And-
saying.
like, some people can't play quarter notes for 4 hours.
Hey.
It's
the truth,
what
man.
It is.
You can't break new ground until you know what the ground is.
Come on,
You
now.
know,
Sing
you
that.
gotta start. Even if you don't want to play traditional jazz down the road or whatever, you gotta learn that stuff, man. That should be taught at every school, in every college, every jazz program. You should learn swing, at least swing. I mean, you got to, it's, I don't know, it's silly.
I'm with you on that, and
It's silly.
but I've said this before, but I think that again, it just comes down to the fact that as teachers, we can only teach what we know, and if the cat's haven't been through the experiences that you have, or we have in New Orleans. There's no way to teach Louis Armstrong if you don't know what Louis Armstrong is.
Yeah, that's true. That's something to think about. Is that we New Orleanians have definitely been spoiled by having access to just the culture of New Orleans, where everybody knows all those guys. They know Baby Daz, and they know Armstrong, and they know Sidney Bechet. They know that those are like the household names of New Orleans, where in other places you may or may not know, but you would more likely have to go out your way to find out about that, which, I get it for sure. I hope that things could change. It'd be really nice, because I think the music would the modern music, all versions of jazz will improve if you improve the grounding and the foundation of it, and everybody knows where it comes from.
Hey man, this is America, and we live by a strict rule of revisionist history here.
There you go.
Look,
Not on YouTube, it didn't happen.
that's right. It ain't on YouTube. It
There you go.
Yo, dig this, man. We're coming to the end here, but before we go, I definitely want to give you an opportunity to tell people where they can connect with you.
Yeah,
If
sure.
they want to hire you to teach them something, or to do some sound design. Where can they connect with you?
Sure. So I got my website, joshuagouzy.com, joshuagouzy.com. You can also, I don't know how, but I managed to find gameaudiocomposer.com, so you could always go to that, which how do you find, that's a good domain, but anyway. I see you looking it up, Greg. I still need to sync it up to the website, because I can see you in your eyes, you're typing it.
I'm trying to hire you right now.
Yeah. So for right now, joshuagouzy.com. But also, if you want to follow the Catahoulas, the R&B band, it's CATAHOULAS NOLA.com. CatahoulasNOLA.com. You can find us on Facebook. You can find me on, all the social media stuff. Just Joshua Gouzy for me. Catahoulas, NOLA for the Catahoulas. And, yeah, man.
And where are your gigs? Where are y'all playing this month?
We finished, let's see. We had something, but let me look at my schedule real quick. We had a bit of a double booking with we were supposed to be at a club, but we had a double booking. And then I'm actually going to GDC for a good bit this month, the Game Developers Conference in San Francisco. So our next show, the Catahoulas specifically, our next show is April 22nd, 7:30 at the Maple Leaf.
Go check them out.
I believe that's French Quarter. Jazz Festival.
Jazz Fest, yeah.
So that's great. So the early set at the Maple Leaf on Friday, April 22nd, and then we're also playing the following Friday at the Spotted Cat at 10 o'clock, the 29th. So we'll be busy during Jazz Fest time. But other than that, you can find me out and about. I'll be, I'm at the Mont Leon. I'm here, I'm there. I'm with different bands and whatnot. Just come say hey.
Love it, Josh. Love it, y'all. Y'all heard it here first. So go to Josh Gouzy's website. Send him some DMs, and friend him. Look, man, thanks for coming on the Working Artist Project.
Absolutely, I love y'all, man. I miss seeing y'all around. I miss the hang with all this stuff going on. I'm sure I'll see y'all soon enough, though.
It'll happen. It'll happen again soon. It'll happen again.
Yeah, man.
Yo,
big
Josh,
hugs and big drinks.
thank you so much for joining us tonight. Congratulations on all the incredible things that you've done, and we're expecting great things to come still. So
thank you so much, and same to you, man. With Michael Bublé and all, that's beautiful, man. I'm proud of y'all. I'm proud of all y'all, man. It's great. It's great to see. I follow y'all too. I see what y'all up to. It's great. So thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, bro. All right, y'all. My name is Darrian Douglas.
I'm Gregory Agid. Y'all have a great night.
Catch y'all.